Hey, 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 welcome back. Welcome back to the Scorpio channel. My name is Laura. If you're new to my channel, I'm going to do a general message for Scorpio. Know that energy is fluid, roles can be reversed. Just interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Also know on this channel and all my channels, I like to dive deep within the reading. So I do look at everything, but we take a lot more time to look at the spiritual blocks, the shadows, to see how they play it as karmic themes, help you understand why everything's playing out the way that it is. See, you're a magnet of whom what comes into your life. So a lot of times we want to know why the universe brought us someone that was toxic. You know, why do we keep reliving certain karmic themes? And the karmic theme could be betrayal. It could be victimization. It could be anything really. Any experience that puts you in a lower state of consciousness, and that's jealousy, that's anger, it's resentment, it's shame. So we don't want to be in those energies. We want to be in a high vibrational energy, which is anything that's derived from unconditional love. And the only way that we can do that really is becoming the energy of love. And so when we aren't, what happens is we give too much energy to other people and situations. So the universe always brings us what we need to heal. And again, to revert our energy back to its original energy of unconditional love. So the shadows are just aspects of ourself that we haven't developed, whether it was because we were developing something else within our life, or whether or not we couldn't, we were in a place of survival. Usually, if we're attracting toxic people, people that have bad behaviorisms and habits, well, it's because there's an energy that we obviously need to heal. So this channel is really all about healing the effects of trauma, to help you understand again why everything is happening. Because when we don't, we get stuck ruminating. And your energy is made up of your thoughts and your emotions. Held in the body as stress, that's what becomes your energy vibration, and that's what makes you a magnet to whom and what comes into your life. You wouldn't be conscious of where you needed healing, where you're blocked. We might say, "Oh, I have a problem, with finances." Or I might have a problem within my relationship. And you see it. You see it. You see it by the lack in the bank account. You see it when, your credit score. You can see it like again, it's when bills can't get paid, and so, again, that energy, again, when we hold on to that type of energy, we're holding it within our body. And so we actually have a spiritual body. And the spiritual body, it represents psychological and emotional aspects of ourself. So to be able to heal, we have to understand why things are happening on the spiritual realm first. So spiritual psychology, there is actually a new psychology. It's called, I don't know the name of it, but it's a spiritual psychology. And it really identifies more with that. Oh, it's transpersonal psychology. I do know what it is because my deck is based on transpersonal psychology. It transcends the limitations of the physical world and the ego. And that's what we have to do in order to heal. We have to surrender our ego. That's what spiritual psychology is. Oh, sometimes I have a loss of memory. It's so irritating. My memory was never good because I grew up in survival. So when you grow up in survival, your memory doesn't, it shrinks because the amygdala takes over. So you become very psychic, but learning was so difficult. They said I'd never make it out of high school. I said I'd never make it out of high school because I couldn't stay present long enough to really learn. And abuse will mirror ADHD. The abuse, the manifestations that come from abuse, psychologically and emotional abuse. To when a child is so fearful, well, it's like I said, it's the same ADHD because children can't run away from their parents. They are reliant on their parents, regardless of how abusive they are. So they have to detach and disassociate. And so they space out. I got trained to space out, to go into that astral level. And that astral level is of the mind. Yeah, to other people, I looked like I was stupid because, again, from the physical realm, it looks like, oh, you can't learn. But the truth of the matter is that I was traumatized. And so I had to learn how to heal the effects of my trauma. And that's how I got on this journey. And so I know you can heal. I know you can heal. The body and mind are self-healing organisms. That's how God made us. So the underlying energy is stuck. To me, the first thing that I'm hearing is that stuck is a mindset. When a person is stuck, they're stuck in a perception. Now, from the outside, yes, they are connected to someone that feels stuck. They can't get out of their situation. I feel like they can't get out of their situation because they don't have the resources to get out of their situation. But they're the person that also put themselves there, and they're also a person that I feel like cares a lot what things people think. Clear karmic programs of intolerance. And I feel like you've just gotten to a place within your life that you're trying to manifest. You're not someone that's stuck. And you felt like staying connected to this person keeps you stuck, even though you have feelings for this person. It's not about not having feelings, it's about loving yourself, and understand when you were dealing with this person, they never knew what they wanted. And because they never knew what they wanted, they constantly disrespected you and kind of just kept you in a place of this energy of shame. And it's not because, you did anything to really shame yourself, but you're connected to someone that stays stuck because they disrespect everyone. They're in the energy of shame. They wanted you to stay stuck. And I feel like you were staying stuck on an emotional level because you wanted them to change. You wanted them to come into your life and act true. Like give the effort, give the time, be emotionally transparent. Where like this person couldn't do that because they're full of shame. But I feel like you wouldn't have seen it until you finally got to a place where you're like, I don't want this anymore. And I feel like you don't want it anymore because you just don't want more of the same. So I want to just see what they're doing right now, what they think right now. Not even what they did, how they did it. I just feel like, what do they think about this relationship? Well, the problem is that there's still a telepathic bond. So even though this person, like, I feel like destroyed this connection, we don't know how they destroyed the connection because I didn't look at it yet. There's still this, telepathic bond, even though you don't want to be with them anymore. And understand that's because you haven't integrated the spiritual lesson fully. Understanding why you attracted this person into your life, number one, is the main reason. And that's through your wounds because of how they treated you. But if it's the energy of shame, that's kind of really dark energy. It is dark energy. There is someone keeping me from you. So that's the thing. No one's keeping this person from you. They will want you to think that someone is keeping them, but that would require them to not be able to think for themselves. At one point, they've had to wanted to like be with that person because that person wouldn't have had the control. They had control because this person went with them. And I feel like that's what you're saying. This person's acting like they're stuck, when they're not stuck. And I feel like the person that they're connected to keeps them stuck in a place of shame, like you said. And through the fact that they disrespected that karmic person, and this person like disrespected you. And that's why they doubt quite highly that you would really talk to them. And but it's again, that's because you're giving the energy off like I'm done. You're stuck with that person. You decided to like stay stuck in a situation which they didn't really need to stay stuck in. That was a choice. You know, this person's made it like they've come back for you, but they know they're ashamed of how they treated you. And because as long as that other person's there, they're emotionally unavailable, even though they're filled with regret. So they're living like detached. You know, like I said, I feel like you're the first person that made them feel this way. But even though you make them feel this way because there's a spiritual bond, it was nothing but repetitive cycles, you know, and that repetitive cycle is this person just keeps going back to that karmic. And so that no one really kept them from you. They kept themselves. They chose to stay stuck. And again, something that they're hiding from you, and it's that karmic. And you know, and they've been hiding it the whole time. So it doesn't matter that they have this connection to you. As long as they're connected to that person, they're emotionally unavailable. And for whatever reason, this person doesn't let go of that other person, is what we see. So, like, let's see, we can see how this person treated you, but it's not really even that important. What was important was to see, you know, why you became intolerant. Because once you became intolerant, you learned the spiritual lesson. And what's really actually more important is why you attracted this person into your life. If you want to know the healing, to stop those karmic cycles from continuing, which is really what you want, because who wants to be connected to someone that they're going to continue to run back to somebody else the whole time? That person that they're with lives a miserable existence too, because this person that they're trying to stay connected to is obviously emotionally unavailable for them too, because they have to run to you. So that's a person that's fragmented. That's someone that has a low self-esteem and needs to, you know, give such small amounts to people in order to feel whole within themselves, because you know they're giving a tiny p amount, because if they're, you know, giving to multiple people, and the people that they're giving that p amount to is giving a whole amount to, you know, like the whole pizza, you know, and meanwhile this person's not even giving a half a slice of pizza because they can't show up, they're fragmented. So that's what they've been hiding, and we don't really even need to see what they did because we already see what they did. Um, but we can pull like just a few more. Again, been forgotten about, and like boundaries, and what this person like really made you kind of feel like, again, like that you didn't belong, which you don't, because again, as long as someone else is there, that's what it is, and you got tired of the abuse. So that's what it was. It was like you felt forgotten about because this person couldn't give you. As long as that person is there, again, but you would have never gotten involved with a person that was connected to somebody else, which is why your boundaries were severely crossed and disrespected. And we've got that before, that they disrespected you. And that's why you felt out of place and like a sense of not belonging, because they weren't emotionally connecting to you. And you finally had enough of the abuse and you said, yeah, I'm not going to let you do it again. I'm done. So that's what happened. That's what happened with them. And then when we see, um, then we'll see why you attracted this person into your life, because we already know why everything unfolded. We did the reading a little different today. I don't know why. Woo! Spirit just said we're gonna do it different. Gonna do it different. today, and I don't know why. So, I mean, I have to take anything that falls out because that's just the way it is. We see support, we see neglect, and we see lies and secrets. We need to pull three more. Why it is because I don't believe in mistakes. I believe everything happens for a reason. So if those cards fell out, then the universe wanted them to fall out, wanted us to look. And resilience, misunderstood, and play. Well, here we see why. Lies and secrets. So, growing up in an alcoholic family, growing up in an abusive family, if you were abused, growing up with a lie, secret doesn't even need to be your lie. It could be your family. Something, again, maybe that someone was cheating the whole time, right? So, again, the adultery, whatever it was like the secret. However, to the point that there was no support for you and where you wouldn't felt neglected. Your emotional needs weren't taken care of. Like you were just kind of like onto the side. And so, when you're a little kid and you have to like do things on your own, you become strong, you become resilient because kids are gonna be more afraid to do things on their own. They need that love, they need that support, they need that guidance. And at home, like that you were neglected, so there was a sense of not feeling like you fit in, like almost like you were the outsider, like a parent was just dedicated to misunderstanding you. And that's because they were angry. And they would be angry if they were dealing with lies and they were living a secret, living a lie where they knew that their spouse was a cheat, or they knew that their spouse was an alcoholic, or they knew that their spouse was bringing shame, some sort of shame into the family. And so, when we're in that energy, we're obviously not playing. We're too afraid to play because we have too much, perception that the world is going to be exactly like the environment that we grew up in, one where you can't trust, one that you're going to live safer and understand because the child that is in an environment that's living like a codependent one is there's always a lot of like arguing and there's always a lot of yelling and there's the parents just don't get along. And so, the child doesn't feel safe because of that, because they feel, they can feel what's going on. They don't understand really what's going on, but they can obviously feel. And so when they grow up and they see the pain, from the parents screaming at each other and hating each other, and then the child also doesn't want to ask to, join things, to do things. They're gonna want to see more invisible. And that's another reason why they have to become resilient, because they become an island to themselves. They're taught that they can't depend on anyone. They're taught that no one's going to be there for them. So on a deeper level, the reason why you manifested this is because this person didn't bring support. They don't bring support. They only care about themselves. They're selfish. It's like it's all about control. It's all about dominance. It would be like you would be, if you're connected to them, you'd be living a lie. This person lives a lie with that karmic person. They don't really want to be there, but they get something from it. So it's like it's okay, but it's like that's living a lie. From the outside, it may look good, but they have to give up that facade of what it looks like. And that's the problem because this person then doesn't have an identity. They don't know who they are. And so if a person's not strong within themselves, then they're going to rely too much on their possessions and their other things that are going to determine who they are. So we have to be strong within ourselves first, and that's first within our character. This person has poor character, and everything else that comes from it is in alignment with that character, where they think it's okay to run back and forth and hide people, but still have, be in a connection where, no, that you'd be bringing back, going back into the same exact energy. And Spirit says no. That's why. That's why your tolerance for it was finally got to a place where you became intolerant. Like I can't be around it. I refuse to be around it because I grew up in that, so I know exactly what it looks like. I watched a parent live that way, which is for some of you, which is, where the parent lived a lie. They didn't get love. They didn't get love, and that's a lie. Marriage, like at its core, there needs to be love, and that's something that it takes work. You have to feed it. You have to nurture it. Otherwise, it doesn't grow. The energy where we put in this person scattering their energy, and they're not giving anyone any energy. They're just living an addictive lifestyle to feed their ego. And Spirit says, now it's time for you to try, find your tribe. You don't have to face your fears alone. Go out into the world and find people that resonate with you. Join things. When you join things, relationships are something that happens over time. Friendship is something that happens over time. We cultivate it. It's how much we feed something. And when you feed something, like I said, it doesn't just grow, it takes on a life of its own. And that's the thing. It's like when you're in that energy, you're living your bliss. So the universe, like I said, brings you the people, the situations, and experiences that are going to heal you. That's like going out into the world and being grounded. You get to see the support that you didn't have growing up because, hey, there was some toxic situation or something spiritually imbalanced, we should say, not just toxic, sometimes just spiritually off. Baron can have a lot of anxiety and depression, and that will throw the entire spiritual equilibrium off in a household, and that affects us. It does. Spirit says, take bold action, take big steps that push you out of your comfort zone. Why? Because that's where healing is. You get to see yourself differently. But Spirit says, act decisively. Don't just jump. Have direction. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? The kingdom of heaven's inside of you. What are you passionate about? Where do you lose your time, your energy, your focus, and your money? Become yourself. Become yourself. Create yourself. Love yourself. Give and receive of love. That's the way that you do it. But you have to take bold action because you can't get healthy in the same place that you got spiritually sick. Being connected to somebody that, was connected to somebody else that wouldn't have given anything, well, that you didn't notice that. And if you didn't notice that, then you didn't have enough. Or if you were expecting this person to change, well, then you don't have enough and you were going to accept the bare minimum from this person because you would have assumed, well, they're going to treat me the way that I treat them. No, they're not. They have shady energy. And they're showing you that by who they are. That's a reflection of who they are. But if you're with them, then that's what you're saying that you deserve. Even though you don't, obviously not saying that, you're unconscious to saying that. You would never say that consciously. However, the universe doesn't care. Spirit says you're in physical form to learn and to manifest. It's more about living authentically and boldly, unafraid to be yourself. Live out loud. Not everybody's going to like you. You're not $100 bill. They're not going to like you. So be you. Be true to you and understand the universe will conspire to make a way where there is no way just for you and bring you the right people and situations and experiences that heal you, that change you. Because being connected to that and being neglected, growing up, and understand you probably were taught not to love yourself and not even knowing. what that actually looks like. Where Spirit says you got to be true to you and understand once you heal, you have boundless energy. Why? Because you're healing those spiritual blockages. Spiritual blockages are held in the body as stress. It affects our energy altogether. And so we need to, when we're creating ourselves, to have a lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy. You know, you have to do a lot of things in a day to create yourself. And that's networking, and that's just being grounded in life. You have to put your time to what you want to see grow in your life. And so we need energy to do that. And that only happens when you heal those spiritual blockages. So going through this experience, I believe that's what it helped you do. You know, that it helped you really alchemize the energy. That's really what this relationship did. It helped you evolve, change. And unfortunately, we wouldn't know how we were treating ourselves, like I said, unless the experience happened within our life. We look at one more thing, because it's not even important to see what this person did. Like, it's enough that there was someone else. Spirit says, now it's time to have faith. You know, commit to your own mind, your heart, and your will that you are devoted to the needs of yourself right now. Because, you know, a lot of times we'll want someone to show us, but Spirit says you have to do that for yourself first. And then you'll be a magnet for people to do it. And because you'll be teaching them how you want to be treated because you're treating yourself that way. And your boundaries are based on that. And so Spirit says, so make sure that you're devoted to the needs of your own soul and trust in yourself and in God and in the universe. Because again, God and the universe, again, the universe is just an extension of God, and every, all of it, you know, I'm just going to say it because the universe isn't it and God isn't it because it's not man or woman. You know, it wants only the best for you to revert back to the energy of unconditional love, which is the energy of God, the energy that will allow you to create your own heaven on earth. But again, you have to heal the effects of your trauma in order to do so. I'm going to leave that there. Scorpio, you let me know how you resonated with this one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.